Mike, you want to do the roll call?
Yeah. Sam Bossom,
Here.
Gerald Tucker,
Cheryl's on vacation.
Not going to make it today.
Michael Serino here, Sarah Conti,
Yes, you won't be here today.
Donna Knoxon,
Here.
Christine Murphy.
Here.
Any public comments on agenda items? No public today. For amendments to the agenda, I'd like to make an amendment, or propose an amendment to the agenda. So we have people here to do a presentation. We'd like to move them up to the front so they can do the presentation, and then we can continue on with the normal business.
So we'll need a motion, need a second.
Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
And then a voice vote.
A voice vote for an amendment to the agenda?
Aye.
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 Okay, passes. So I think we'll go ahead and move on to the presentation then.
Okay, so what we, if you might, you don't mind, Sam,
Yeah, if you please.
we have high-level promotions here. They're via Zoom. Colton Wayne and Donnie Baker, is that right? If I can see that correctly, are here, and what they're going to do is do a little presentation on what their company does in terms of getting sponsorship fees, maybe some naming rights for the rec center. We're looking at sponsorship fees, could be Coca-Cola or Pepsi being the sole provider of their product. These guys can explain it better than I can. I'll just turn it over to Colton, and we have 4 commissioners here, Colton, and staff. And we are going live out to the public as well. They won't be able to see you, but they'll be able to hear you. And then after your presentation, if you want to take some questions from the commission, that would be great.
A quick question. Colton Wayne and Donnie Baker, what are your positions with the company?
What are what?
What are your positions, like?
Co-founders. So Donnie and I are both the co-founders of this. I guess that's kind of a good position to get started from, actually. So Donnie and I met about 4 or 5 years ago. Donnie ran a videography drone company. He shot for the likes of Morgan Wallen, Lexus, Mercedes, Mexico to Argentina. He's been all over the world. I call him the casino because he's always money, and I mean that in the best terms possible. Him and I met when we started a project. So we originally had a virtual reality company where you could tour a facility like yours, like the park you guys are talking about, before it was ever built. That way, if you needed to make changes, you could make changes to the blueprints, everything else. Anyway, when we got this presentation done, we figured out these, what you call sponsorships, are often referred to as corporate partnerships. And we found these big businesses, so everybody's heard of like the Ford Center, or you name an NFL stadium or any MLB stadium, and usually it's the FedEx Field or you name it. And well, what we found out was these big corporate sponsors and everything, they have money that is set aside into breaking into new markets and brand awareness. Well, what that allows us to do is essentially facilitate handoffs between relationships with city, municipalities, private businesses, PPPs. We've done anything, everything, from sports complexes to rec centers to, we even got a drive-in movie theater that we're representing, where we can find out the corporate partnerships of, like he mentioned, Coke, Pepsi, Ford, Chevrolet, medical partners, insurance partners, you name it, and say, hey, what do you guys need out of this partnership? Well, for example, I'll speak directly on your guys' project. We've kind of looked at it at length, and one of the things was the walking track. I think that right now is kind of like up in the air and everything else. Well, one of our first things would be to go to a medical partner and try to get some sort of sponsorship for them to take that walking track and be able for them to name the walking track, be able to use it for their physical therapy or other various photographic activities, newspaper articles, things of that nature. And so that's like an example. So I'm going to retract a little bit and continue on us. We currently have 11 active projects across the United States in various phases of construction, from 3 years away from construction to fully constructed. One of the materials that I can send you guys is an example project or example outline of how we go to market for different assets of the facility. When we look at things, and I do apologize, but what that I sent you guys, the PDF, is actually the PDF of just Donnie. So Donnie, I think that all the information on his entire TikTok is on there. I forgot to include anything about me, so I sent you the wrong one. When I clicked it, it was the second one, so I do apologize about that. But on our team and everything, we are all across the country. We have South Dakota represented, we have Texas represented, I'm here in Nebraska. We essentially get involved in projects and become an extension of you guys. So what I want is for a director, a CEO, a president, the head of marketing to come into a relationship with the city. So not only are they going to support it monetarily, but they're also going to be on site for the actual ribbon cutting. When they have their big events, when we get on-site activation for a community day, 4th of July, we want these people to get involved in your actual projects, because the more eyes that we can get on the prize, the better that the project becomes for the entire community. And so that's about, I think I covered everything, Donnie, but you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, basically he covered it all on that presentation. We kind of have the projects that we have highlighted there. The Greg Young Auto Sports Campus, the Hanner Sports Campus in Clyde, Texas, for example, small town. Brought in a dealer there, a Chevrolet dealer that has never ever made any sponsorship. They never have done anything like this, right? So we want to start local, because obviously that's you guys, right? We want to start local, and then we go out regional and then nationally, because we don't want a city official or somebody like, well, why didn't I get opportunity at this chance to do naming rights or anything like that? So I'm a farmer, and we do handshakes and do that stuff. And we'll be coming to the your city council meeting too. So I mean that's kind of how we roll, and it's tough because I can't see who I'm talking to, but I appreciate the questions.
Yeah, throw us some questions, please.
Sam, Donna?
When will you have example packets available?
For
Prod-
yours was for you?
No,
for
just-
your project or just the?
Just like something that you've worked on before, so you can kind of give us an idea of like where it started and the process and where it finished. Is that what you were talking about?
So, I guess a little bit on the process side, essentially we dive head first once a project comes on board, to find out, about are you asking how we go about our process of finding partners?
No,
This is-
you
what's the
said,
question?
you said you had example packets that you could send to us to show us your process of how it goes from the beginning, the day you take a project on, till the whole process, till the end.
Okay, so I can, that would be something we could create. The example of what I was referring to was for any of our projects. We have the asset list of how we monetize it, how we go about communicating with the directors and you guys, the commission or the city council, for going after the actual partnerships on there, right? That would be, what I mean by that is it's not always monetarily. So it could also be, for this facility, if you guys were looking for a Wi-Fi or broadband partner, that's obviously a like-in-kind exchange. Well, if we can help offset some of the construction costs, decrease the construction costs, decrease the amount of toll it takes on you guys, that also benefits the facility as well. So that's what I meant for an example. If you'd like a beginning to end process.
Basically when we break it down is, we have our initial Zoom meeting with you guys after we sign, and then it breaks into our team. So we have a team meeting, we break down all your guys' assets, and then we have a go-to-market plan, right? And we take that go-to-market plan and run it by the officials, like our partner, this is what we call you guys, is you're gonna be our partner. So we run that plan by the partners, and, you know, at the end of the day, you guys have all final say. So we're not gonna go out to, you know, Verizon and say, hey, we're gonna sign this. Like, you guys have the say. We're gonna go find the partner, the sponsor, and then bring them to you for you guys to have final say, so.
I can send you, actually, Donnie, what she's referring to is the same thing that we got asked and
Is
Ms. also
the-
does. Newsy is our Newsy,
Okay.
okay. I can send you that directly after this meeting. Is there like a point of email? Greg, can I just send it to you?
Yep, send it to me and I'll forward it along.
Because as Donnie was talking, like, our general outline and game plan is actually like lined out on this. I can send that directly to you. You guys can have that before the end of the night.
That'll work.
Excellent.
Okay? Next question? Yeah.
Will that be like an actual study, like, let's say you did a center, like you said with Verizon, will you have where you started, the outline of how things transpire, and then what the project looked like before and what the project looked like after once Verizon put up their sponsorships?
So that's a good question. We are going to make, so we are not making your building a NASCAR raceway. That's not our goal. We are not going to go into the bathrooms or into all of the doors and everything. One of our core values, or excuse me, our core business models is you guys are the boss, meaning we're going to bring the opportunity to you. If they say, hey, we would like a south-facing sign that's 100 feet long, let's just throwing out a number. We would then come to the board, whoever is like the decision makers, and say, this is the current offer from Verizon, whatever the company is. This is what they are looking for. If that is not in the wheelhouse of what you guys are looking for, we're going to go back and renegotiate that. So as far as the aesthetics, that's our primary focus. I don't want to make this is a beautiful project. I'm looking at it over here on one of my screens, and I'm like, this is something that obviously the whole city, like, everybody should be proud of this. When I drive by, I should feel good. So like, if your question is about aesthetically pleasing, we will absolutely make sure that every partnership that we have is aesthetically pleasing.
Thank you.
And that's something that we can have in that first meeting with you guys, you know, after upon signing, in the sense of, that's where I get the images, I take all your renderings, different things like that. That's where my creative mind comes to play, where we work together and say, okay, when we're talking about signage, I'm thinking here, you know, we talk to our other team members that do this all the time, and we put together, hey, this is what we would do. Here's a bigger scale, here's a smaller scale, here's like a powered by, here's different things that we can do to make everybody happy, so.
That's a great question.
So I guess the next question I have is, if we do sign with you, what is our commitment as far as financially and as far as the ability to back out if we don't like any of the deals that you guys bring to us?
So that's a two-part question, so
Yep.
and I'll answer it in two parts. So
Thank you.
on your side, if you don't like a partner or an opportunity, there's no obligation for you to sign it. We've had, I guess we cultivated a relationship in St. Augustine, where we had two hospitals come to us. One offered $70,000 a year for 10 years. The other was much less, but the partners had a relationship with the other hospital and chose to go with them. So it's not about the monetary side for us. If you guys are like, hey, these are the partners, we don't want to work with this group, or we'd like to look at other options, we turn right back around and that's what we do. On our side for compensation, and this is why we've been able to be so successful, our primary compensation model is strictly off of what we bring in. Meaning that you guys as the city or as the municipality will never pay us anything out of your pocket. So we are going to cultivate these relationships and like use our Rolodex to make sure that we bring money in and that we're compensated off of that money, so that there's never anything that comes out of your pocket. If somebody wants to, like, that's where the commission rate and everything else comes in. But like I talked to Greg about, we've been able to work with almost any, if it's a city, if it's a private project, if it's a county, if it's you name it, we're pretty flexible.
And what is the commission rate?
30%.
30%? Is that, so you bring in, if it's a 70,000 for 3 years, you mentioned that. Does that mean you get 30% of each year's payment, or 30%
Yep.
once?
Yep, 30% of the tax, so if, I'm gonna use easy numbers, not great at math. The easiest one would be $10,000 a year for 10 years. So $100,000 contract. So year one comes up and they're gonna pay $10,000, we would receive $3,000 of that. So as part of what we do though, is we're also invoicing and making sure that each of those clients, you're not having to chase checks. We're going to do that for you. We make sure that every year that money comes in on the specific date and that it is in your pocket, it goes to you first and then to us to make sure that everybody, that the paper trail and everything else is taken care of. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Perfect.
Christine, Christine?
Question?
I'm good. I'm good. I think it was answered. My question was with respect to the terms, and it's been somewhat referenced with respect to how many, there is a term of a certain number of years and a certain dollar value, so.
Yeah, the terms, Colton, are, for a sponsorship, what's the normal terms? Or do you do a 5-year type of thing with your sponsors, 10 years, or does it vary?
So our goal for you is to create long-term partnerships and everything else. Your naming rights of facilities, so I don't want that, in 3 years and 5 years and 6 years, I don't want you to have to change the name of that park or the name of that building. Our goal for a big-time partner would be a 10-year relationship, 7, 8, 10-year relationship. And on the smaller side, let's say it's just the court, or maybe it's a digital partnership for all the emails, the header, the footer, something like that. We can go on a lesser, maybe a year-to-year opportunity, but as an average, I would say most are 3 to 5 year contracts.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have one.
Jinx.
Mike, did you have any?
Is that 30%, is that like average?
Is 30% your average compensation contractually?
Yeah, for city municipality, that's, if we don't, like I said, we don't ask for anything up front. We're not asking for a retainer. We prove that we're, of what we do. And I think somebody asked this question earlier about like getting out of the contract and everything else. We have a mutual out clause where we have, and also we have a 100% retention rate for all of our complexes. And of the ones we've worked with, I can't even tell. I mean, almost every single one has. Most of our business is actually referral. I know this was a cold call, so I think that's funny. But most of our business is actually referral because of like our relationships. And we're coming into this thinking we're going to be here for 3, 5, 10 years. Like we're going to be a part of your team. If you talk about baseball fields, hey, we're going to build a baseball complex next. Awesome. Like so and so Bag talked about their next development project is pickleball and baseball. Right? We're going to tell you guys, hey, here's some more opportunities as we grow this relationship together.
I have a question for our team. Do we anticipate as a commission that we would have to take this to bid and do a comparison between a variety of other vendors offering similar services?
Good question. We'd have to have the attorney answer that.
Thank you.
I don't know if you heard the question about, one of the commissioners had a question about, do we need to take your services to bid for other competing entities? I don't know the answer to that question.
I can answer that question on our side as far as our legal counsel is concerned. So we're not afraid of RFPs. We've won multiple. We are, since we don't have a upfront cost. So like for instance, the state of Texas is a $49,999 cap. Or any expenditure over that, an RFP has to be placed out. Well, like I said, I'm not looking to take anything out of your pocket. We're looking for these big partnerships to make sure that they can fund their own. And so on your guys' side, I believe that your guys' bylaws in the state don't have any cap on it and don't have any minimum. So that would essentially be an internal decision that your team would make.
Well, and it might fall under the professional services where you don't have to go out for proposals if it's a professional service contract. So.
Well, and the reason I bring it up is because it's always a frequently asked question.
Yeah.
So it's good to know.
And then, so high-level promotions, will make a presentation to the board at the end of this month, the August 28th, I believe, off the top of my head, that meeting. Kind of the same type of Q&A, little presentation to the board. And so you'll make that presentation, so that'll be upcoming, and we'll see you guys in a few weeks at the.
I was gonna say, in the meantime, in the meantime, Greg, obviously you have my contact information. If anybody comes up with questions and everything,
Sure.
Resource you have a question, we'll answer. If there's anything that we can clear up in the meantime, like we're excited to be there on the 28th. We're actually one of our best friends lives in Chicago. How far away is he? Like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, not by the highway. It's probably 45.
Yeah, it's about 12 miles in 2 hours
Yeah.
most days, it seems like.
Traffic.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah.
But yeah, if in the meantime you guys have any questions or anything else, Greg, I will send you over the process. There's a couple more resources for you guys to get your hands on. And like I said, don't be a stranger. Give me a call like we have. We're excited. As I said, we're fired up.
Great.
Oh, one more question?
I got a question. I'm gonna kind of play devil's advocate here. Let's say you get Pepsi to come in and they're gonna put a scoreboard in our gym. And all of a sudden the scoreboard doesn't work. Pepsi doesn't wanna fix it. Who's the middleman? Who do we call? Would we be able to get out of?
We would never allow Pepsi to back out of that. So.
But I'm saying is like them servicing us. If maybe it was a Coke machine. Let's say it was a Coke machine. We can't get it serviced. It's not working. It's going on 4 months. We can't get it. Do we turn to you? Do we turn to Pepsi, or can we just get out of that contract because they're not being amicable with us and fulfilling their promise?
So that's a great question. So just so you know, all of our beverage or core partners, as we refer to them, they will come in and they will do maintenance. They will install. So they're going to install all coolers and everything else. They're going to keep track of how many cases, how much rebates and everything else. If anything on any Pepsi or beverage or any partnership were to go, that is on them. They do Pepsi, especially if we're speaking directly on Pepsi and Coke. They take care of 100% of maintenance. So if that machine goes down, you will have a direct number to call that they will respond. And like we work with Coke. We've done over $100 million between the two of them. We know them both very well. We've never had a single issue on any one of our projects.
So let's say it wasn't Pepsi or Coke and it was another lesser vendor that's not really as well known.
Yeah.
And we can't get anything out of them. They don't want to fix, repair, or do anything, and we're having problem with their equipment or their signage or whatever. Can we get out of that contract for 3 to 5 years if they're not playing nicely in the sandbox, to put it nicely?
So I'm not going to bring you somebody that's not going to play nice, but if I was to bring you something like that, in our contract, I'm pulling one up right now from Union Point. So this project's right south of Boston in South Shore. We just sent this one over today for a mental health partner. Basically the agreement is for all physical signage. So they're actually going to have lit up signage, lit up background and everything else. The first 2 years, if there's any maintenance and everything else because of wind or weather, let me pull it up. Wind or weather, that is on the actual company. On year 3, if something were to happen, it is split 50-50, and if it happens on year 4 or 5, that is now on the facility. So essentially, that's built out. That's negotiated on every single one.
And that's set up as they have 2 outside blow-up domes, and it's more of a field. So most of that signage, like I said, that's why we put the wind that clause in. In your guys' case, you're talking inside stuff. You're talking about outside. We're not going to hang up a banner outside on that building. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be maintained. But definitely, like I said, we're going to have all those clauses in there into our contracts, written up with you guys on what you feel is comfortable. So.
Well, here's the way I see it too: is if we had a sponsor to pay for the scoreboard over 3 to 5 years, they're helping defray the cost of the scoreboard.
Right.
Where we would have to outlay that cash anyway and take care of the maintenance. So if we had somebody that bought the scoreboard for us, a Pepsi, and, you know, it's usually a warranty on the scoreboard, and if we had to maintain it, and somebody else bought it, I'm okay with maintaining it and taking care of it, because they bought it for us, so, after the warranty, but that could be discussed.
If I'm kind of reading between the lines, ma'am, and I'm not for sure if I am, but what I'm also hearing is on your guys' one of your concerns is making sure that you can get out of contracts that a state does turn bad. Let's take away the maintenance side and everything else. That is something if you came to us and said, hey, we got to get out of this. We've yet to have a situation like that, but that's just business. But like that, at some point, absolutely, that's going to happen. God forbid it happens with your guys' project, but we will absolutely, we're on your side. So if there's a situation where you're like, hey, we got to get out of this and everything else, if we end that negotiation, we will end our commission will not come out of that anymore. So if it was a 5-year, 10-year deal, and on year 4 that company goes bankrupt and everything else, we're a part of your team. We're not going to ask you, hey, well, you guys still owe us 3 years, 5, 6, 7. No, not absolutely not. We get paid as you get paid. If that contract falls through, that's on both of us. That's not just on you.
Yeah, I think the larger question I think we're driving at is, if there are any disputes with someone you bring to us for a contract, you know, you're going to handle that for us. We won't have to go and negotiate with them. You're going to be the middleman. We'll raise our concerns to you, and then you will take care of it. I think is that.
Yeah, it's basically what I was getting at, like, let's say we're in year 1 and it's, our Pepsi machine isn't working and Pepsi's our sponsor and it's warranted and we're not getting anywhere with Pepsi, you guys will go to bat for us, is
Yeah.
basically, that's, yeah.
Yeah, we have your back in that sense. I mean, that's our customer service side of it, and, you know, and like I said, the best part is we haven't had, you know, just because all the partners that we work with are, you know, like Coke and Pepsi, they don't want a bad name, you know, that's why they stand behind their project, right? So we're gonna be bringing you partners that are reliable and trustworthy, and also aren't the ones that are on the edge of going bankrupt, stuff like that, right? We do our research, and you know, and we bring you valid partners for your guys' team. So,
Christine?
Yes, I have one more. Does our agreement with you include a term where I would suggest perhaps there's consultative services and we have the opportunity to entertain multiple partners, because we're talking about maybe Coke or Pepsi on the scoreboard, but there might be a multitude of other opportunities without getting too carried away. And you cited the example of a medical facility for the walking trail, and then maybe there are some other areas you would make recommendations on that would then engage multiple partners in different areas.
Were you able to hear that, Colton?
I caught most of that, but would you give me
Well, it was, the question was about a multitude of partners, so it is, I mean, an Elmhurst hospital could maybe sponsor the fitness room or the walking track, and then a flooring company can sponsor the basketball court, you know, a scoreboard company, Daktronics, could sponsor scoreboards. So we're not, you guys aren't beholden to, or just looking at one sponsor. There's many. Well, I'll let you guys talk about that.
There's 33 different categories that we go to market for. So obviously those aren't always going to get filled, but we have our software, our systems and everything have 33 different categories. And when you talk about if like different medical partners, usually people like to play ball, like they play well with others, right? So to quote somebody else in this meeting, if we have an opportunity where somebody says they don't want another medical partner, we're going to make them pay a premium to be that only medical partner. So if they say, hey, we want to be your emergency partner, right? The closest hospital by there, awesome, right? But then we have a good opportunity with one of our apps, one of our mental health apps that we have as a partner, and they say, well, we want to be the mental health partner too. Absolutely, awesome. Well, this is the current offer for our mental health app. You guys, and then we can essentially come to the decision makers and say, hey, this is the current offer that they are going with as a medical partner. We have this currently on the table as well. what's a good fair middle ground to meet on, so that then if they do want to take both, they actually have that opportunity, but also we don't want them to be exclusive and everything else. You guys can tell us no, and we can now have 2 partners instead of 1.
Thank you.
Donna?
How long does this process take? Like, you're just kind of getting your toes wet right now, and you got ideas and stuff like that. From start to finish, how long does a project usually take for you guys to seek out different vendors?
Good question.
So, your guys' construction schedule, like I said, we have 11 active projects that are in any phase of construction. So like most negotiations are going to take place over the course of 6 months, and that's the time from when they either answer one of our phone calls, respond to one of our emails, see one of our threads, you name it. Right? That's the starting point. Within 6 months, essentially, most partners, especially these larger corporate partners, are going to want to come on site. They're going to want to meet the executive committee, and that's where we can do handoffs, and like that's where we do ribbon cuttings and gather as many people as we can to get there. But over the course of about 3 to 6 months is about the contract length. Now, on the other side of things, we have partners that within 90 days of signing with you guys, that we would have offers on the table. We have current partners that are already interested in, so essentially we tell people, hey, we're looking at a project in Austin, Texas. And they say, and we go to a couple of different medical partners and everything else, and say Baylor Scott White and Texas Health Resources. Those are 2 competing entities. We would go to both of them and say, we have an opportunity down here. We're not going to give you any details. Is there any interest in you guys? And that's where we've already cultivated some relationships for this project, where we could bring you, like, our goal is to bring you immediate value. We want to bring you offers as fast as possible. So I guess to answer the question, it's twofold. I think that we could do it in a 90-day time frame to start it, but then over the course of the next 3 years, while the facility is getting built, that's as more relationships will form and more people will come in. As if you build it, they will come.
So that 90-day to start is if our board passes it at the trustee level and management level, operational side of it. So if it is passed through our village board, 90 days, something will be started. But you've already got ideas, correct?
We have partners who are very interested in this entire region. But like I said, our goal is to go to local partners first, right? We're going to go to the chamber. We're going to go to the chambers around there. We're going to go to the other business directories, some of our contacts who are in the area, and ask for businesses who are active. We're going to go to the baseball facilities down the street and look up who's active in this community, what relationships have they built. But on your 90-day one, I don't want to play all my cards, but yes, we would do pretty well to have you guys an offer within 90 days after signing.
We have a year to build. The community center should be built in roughly a year, so we have time.
Yeah.
Yep. So that 6-month mark is pretty good. On your guys' side, I do have a question. We've talked about other facilities and everything else before, so I guess this isn't a question. This is more kind of just an earmark. In the future, if this is to go well with this one, we would also be looking to say, hey, is there other projects that you guys would want us on? So I don't need any answers right now. But as you guys think of baseball fields, concert venues, we've got soccer fields, drive-in movie theaters. Our goal is, as we find these partnerships and everything else, if we have an opportunity to say, hey, they're really, like I mentioned, Frontier Airlines is strictly, they only work with pickleball. That's the only thing that they're looking to sponsor. We represented the 2nd largest pickleball complex in the entire North America, outside of Ohio. And they told us we only want pickleball. Well, as we go forward, there's a Frontier Airlines in XYZ city, and there's also a pickleball complex, well, then we can reach out. So just letting you know that as you guys build, we're looking to build this relationship. So if there's communication and you guys are like, hey, what do you guys think on our side? Know that we're willing to tell you kind of where our partners are at as far as their marketing and development plans going down the road.
Yeah, well, we do have some big projects coming up. So an outdoor pool would be one of them, just to name one, and upgrading our baseball fields. We talked about that, a lot of turf, there's turf infields now, low maintenance. That might be something, to upgrade our ball fields. So, yeah, there's some projects down the road that,
2 pickleball courts.
Awesome.
so.
I've enjoyed these questions, so if there is any more, like I said, we're open book, we love what we do, like, if there's anything else, or you need to email us afterwards, feel free.
Okay, general question, I'm gonna be nosy. What's the minimum amount that you've ever got? What's the maximum amount that you've ever got? And how much do you think you can get us?
Okay, so, Donnie, we just talked about that before the call. So if you look at the overall construction of a project, our go-to-market is gonna be between 5 and 10% of its overall value. That's what we want to bring over the course of that project. So, Donnie and I are flying to Texas, or I guess we're meeting in Dallas on Friday. There's a $35 million football facility that's going up. Our goal for them is $3.5 million for that facility. Now, as I said, in Clyde, Texas, that's a tiny town out of Abilene. It's a 2A school, which is like the second smallest in Texas. We did $1.2 million in 60 days for them. We've also, for instance, the lowest one we've done is the current project that we're on right now, and that's $15,000 so far. We onboarded that project in July, beginning of July, and we've only got 15,000 or 16,500 for that project so far. It's a four-field stadium. That project we've only got 50. So there's your, I guess our lowest is the 15,000, but as I mentioned,
It was a 4 field, it wasn't a stadium, so.
Yeah, it was 4 fields. It was just 4 fields. Yeah.
Basically, it's 4 fields. So, yeah, we got anywhere from like Pinnacle Bank Sports Complex, the Greg Young Auto Sports Campus. The construction cost was $300 million. So it depends on the area. Obviously, you guys are prime time. Some of our partners, like Norwalk, Iowa, is a lot different than Middle Park, right? It's a lot different area than some of these complexes that are going out. So our regional and our United States partners definitely want to kind of be in your guys' area, in those populated areas. Not some of our projects are in the middle of nowhere, which is great because it's working with. I'm a small town guy, so I like small towns, but and hope to meet you all at the city council meeting in 2 weeks. We'll be flying in, so.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys for joining us.
One more question. The 5 to 10% of the project value you said is, we can divide that by the vendors. Can we tell you, hey, we only want 10 vendors? Because like you said, we don't want it to be NASCAR just to get money. We don't want to.
Absolutely.
So can we put it?
That's a great question, and that's usually one of the things that we address in our first onboarding meeting. So like you're ahead of the curve essentially. So we would go to you and say, hey, we're looking for 4 cornerstone partners. We're looking for a medical partner, a banking partner, a Wi-Fi partner, and a beverage partner. Those are our 4 that we want to have on there, and then 1 naming partner. So we're going to go after those 5, and then we have smaller ones. Let's say that we also do ballpark banners, so like just banners on the fences and everything. So if you're like, we only want 4 major ones, well then guess what? All the other businesses are going to get an email and phone calls from us saying, here are some other lower opportunities to still help this facility. So that's absolutely set before we ever go to market. So you're absolutely right on.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. All right, well, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, thank
Sounds
you
good,
guys.
guys. Thank you. We'll see ya.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the questions. Appreciate it.
Moving on to the next agenda item, approval of minutes. I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
No second.
Voice vote? Aye? Yes?
Aye.
Agreed? Wonderful. All right. Moving on to the next agenda item, department staff updates. the Recreation Division Assistant Director, Gina. I won't say your last name, I always
That's
mess it
okay.
up, I apologize.
So we will start with programming updates. So for the month of July, adult senior programming, 15 programs, 227 participants. Summer camp, we're starting to pull a little bit more detail together. So it's sort of hard to compare last year to this year because we're doing registration a little bit differently, but I did pull individuals and families, which is an apple-to-apple comparison. So this year we have 57 individuals in the older camps, 47 families. Last year we had 76 individuals, 55 families, so a few more last year. And then in our younger camp, mini adventure camp, we had 39 individuals, 32 families. Last year we had 16 individuals and 16 families. So we have increased the revenue with the mini adventure camp. We changed that a little bit from last year to this year. So when we're looking at total camp dollars between mini camp and then the older camps, we're at about almost 81,000 this year, and last year combined it was 60.5 thousand. So in total, we're doing, our revenue is up, which I'm happy to report that. Going on to events, first Super Sensational Saturday was on July 15th. We had approximately 175 people that attended. Last year, it was probably around 25. It wasn't a good weather day. But this is of all the years we've been doing this, that was a really big number. So we were very excited. That is a free program that we offer to young families, and people came out and enjoyed it. We started up the concerts again on Thursday. Sorry, I'm stealing your thunder just a little bit. August 3rd, Mr. Myers was out. We had about 400 people in attendance. And then this Thursday, August 10th, we'll have Chicago's own piano band. Okay. I'm really excited about that. I've never heard them, but it sounds like they have a nice style of music, and I did go and poke around on the internet, and so I'm looking forward to that. Brewfest will be held on October 7th. Our planning meetings are underway. As of today, we've sold 54 tickets. Last year, at the end of Early Bird, we had sold 96, so we still have a little bit of time. And we are sending out emails, our partner is, to previous ticket purchasers, and that's a nice marketing tool. Aquatics. Weather has not been our friend this year. Before I even start to give you these numbers, I want to let you know we had 13 unswimmable days through August 7th. Last year we had 4. So it's been just kind of not a good year for swimming. At daily gate attendance, 13,002 people. Last year, 13,819. So not too big of a. We're not down by that much, and I'm hoping we're going to be able to pick up a little. But this Friday will be the last weekday we're open. We're doing something a little bit different this year, where we're going to weekends only at the conclusion of this week. Kids will start going back to school. We're losing our lifeguards back to college, and even the ones that are in high school have sports that they have to start training for. So we'll see what happens. We are in the process of making arrangements for the ATWB, Addison Trail Willowbrook girls swim team, to swim at Jefferson Pool before they can get into COD. So we're just putting the final touches on that, and I'm glad that we're able to do that for them this year. other rec updates, just a couple things. Fall winter brochure will go live on or around August 11th. I have had the opportunity to work with Cheryl in the manager's office on special event packets, so that's been a whole new opportunity for me, and that's been interesting, and it's a challenging chore, and I can't believe everything that goes into that, but it's been interesting, and it's been fun to learn about that. I don't remember if we talked about this. I think we did a while ago. We're going to be moving to a different software, January 1st, registration software, Civic Rec. And so we have started those trainings with Civic Rec. They're done like through Zoom. So I'm very excited about that. It's a much easier, user-friendly software to operate than what we're currently using. So we're all looking forward to that. And that's about it for now. So Brewfest is the next big one. We'll wind down the pool season, which is always just a little sad. But that's my report. Sad for some of us, not so sad for others.
I
Got
hate
a
to
couple-
see summer go, but when the pool,
Yeah, I understand.
pool is awesome. I have
I
one
got
at
a
home
couple
too.
questions for Gina. For
Sure.
our Brewfest, do we have the same vendors and sponsors as far as, the beer companies and people that are, sponsoring it, like they sponsor the concerts?
So, not necessarily the same. The brewers are really dependent on, who's available and which brewers have something that they want to showcase. The brewers used to come out and serve their own what they've sold, but they don't have enough staff to do that now. So we have to make sure that we have enough volunteers that can pour during that. So I'm not sure exactly. We always have at least probably 10 to 12 that repeat every year, and then we do get some new ones.
How many do you have signed up so far?
You know what, our managing partner handles that, and so I don't have that number off the top of my head. But I can look into it and certainly
Just curious.
get back to you.
About the same, smaller, bigger? I've
It
heard some
looked-
of the.
They were making, he got some interest up front kind of quickly. Now things are sort of, lulling a little bit, so.
I've heard some of the breweries are less inclined to attend and support these type of events. I don't know.
Well, I know
I read
they're
on the
less
internet,
inclined
so
to
it's gotta be
attend, and I thought that had to do with their numbers of people that they have working, like a lot of businesses, don't have that many people, but it's definitely something that is, the gentleman that I work with said he does a lot of German pop-up beer gardens, and those are becoming very,
Popular.
yeah,
Involved.
the more places are going with those, and they're, very, very well attended, so this looks like it could be an ebb in craft beer.
Another question, you said you're working on a special events package. Is that digital, online, or paper?
It's paper.
There's a lot of information on those special event packets.
So will
They-
that be a mailer, or?
No, it's like fun runs, like District 45 or the Y or the Chamber outing. They all have, if there's,
In our outings too,
In
Brewfest,
ours,
Summerfest,
yeah.
we have to fill out, I think it's 12 or 13 pages.
So-
And it's paper.
So what will be done with that? Will it be put online, or?
I think that's the
Yeah.
direction they want to go in, because it would be a lot, easier. We could do I'm hoping that we could move to like a fillable kind of PDF where you can't touch certain things, but you would fill in the information where the blanks are. We just haven't, the village hasn't moved to that just yet. A lot of detail, though. I mean, I'm not sure exactly who was the person that came up with that.
Aaron maybe, and well,
Yeah.
there
It's
was a
the-
bunch of us involved.
Yeah. A lot,
Because
lot of detail.
Many years ago, they would just call basically the Parks Department and say, I want to do a fun run down the Prairie Path. And we're like, well, we have to close the intersections off, and how big is it? And, you know, or, so there's a lot of information that, you know, we needed. And if Public Works was involved, if they needed the first responders, their, you know, police and fire, and
Yeah.
so it's like basically all the departments in the village.
So
that are
is the
involved.
special events packets for us to get everything ready? Or maybe I'm misunderstanding. I thought it was a special events packet that was
For-
going out to the customers.
No, it's
Or
for,
to
it's
the
for the,
residents.
it's for the village, and any organization that wants to run an event in the village.
So that packet will have to be filled out?
Yes,
Yeah,
whoever
okay.
the
We did-
chamber has their bags and,
Beanbag tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah, the,
So
right.
They're gonna have to fill that out so that you make sure that Public Works,
the streets are closed.
right, okay, I was misunderstanding it as it was a special events package that was gonna list all the things going on.
No, no, no.
And
That's in
going
the
out to the
calendar.
residents and
those things-
digital, and I was like, that's why I didn't understand
Yeah,
it.
no, no.
Okay,
The
now I
things
get
going
it.
on should be in the updated website and on the calendar.
Okay, that's
on
where
the
where the
village.
confusion was, thank you.
By the way, the website, the change that they made, it looks great. I think it's easier to find stuff too, so if you haven't been on for a while, take a look. Okay?
Any other questions before we move on?
Nope.
Next, the Parks, Building, and Grounds Division update. Brian?
All right, thanks. Some current completed park facility projects updates. At Lions Park now, I keep updating it as CRB, but I think we're past that now. Over at Lions, the demolition is still ongoing. It's taken a little bit longer than we anticipated, but it's going good. Nearly complete. We hope that it will be completed by the end of this week, if not early next week. They're working right now to fill in where the building was with some stone. There's a few various piles of miscellaneous materials that are still there, but we're working to get everything out of there quickly, and we're pretty close now. So the end is in sight. We're also working with a company, ECS Midwest, as our geotechnical engineer. They've been helping us with the backfill and compaction of the building site with the stone. Obviously, we're putting a new building on it, so we want someone to tell us that it's ready for that. They'll also be with us for the construction of a new building to test all the various materials that go into the building to make sure that everything's done, from concrete and precast to structural steel and the welds, the brick and mortar. So they test every material that goes into the project to make sure that it meets what it should. So over at the police department, we just worked through the cooperative purchasing group Sourcewell, which offers pre-competitively bid goods, equipment, services to replace the rooftop unit on the police department. Gordian Group oversees the construction projects through Sourcewell. Damsel Services was the contractor that we awarded and worked with. The rooftop unit was installed last week. It's up and running now. There were a few issues when it went on that they identified that were done from the previous unit's installation. I think they kind of put some things together to make sure that it worked, and when they took it apart, it was some unforeseens. But it's all good now. It's working. It was all resolved and addressed when the install of the new unit went on. Our original estimates before we went with Sourcewell for this replacement was over $100,000. Going through Sourcewell, the project cost was $71,000. And then actually, as we went into the project, Damsel Services was able to obtain a comparable other unit that saved the village another $10,000. So we ended up getting this unit installed and done for $61,000, which was awesome. Also, with the contract for Damsel Services, they're obligated to do the first year's routine maintenance and care on the unit at no cost to the village. So they make sure that even down to filter changes and checking things, they come out and do each one of those at no cost to us. So it's going very well. Facility assessments. We've been working with community development to have facility conditions assessments completed for village facilities. It was recently approved at a previous village board meeting. The firm we're working with is, their name is Kluber. They've done many other municipal assessments. We're excited to begin this process for us and with them. We met with them, I think a couple weeks ago now, to begin the process. We're going to work to provide them some initial information, kind of some questions, basic stuff they were asking about some of the facilities. We're in talking with them, they're hopeful to have these assessments done around fall. And then following that, we'll be able to work with them to provide everyone a presentation on what they found at the facilities. We also will get, it'll be a huge report in a book, but it'll assess down to every detail on each of the facilities. The assessments will help us provide an awesome roadmap for the future for the village on these buildings, for maintenance, repairs, any renovations, hopefully some new constructions, and budgeting especially, and to help us prepare for each one of those things. Some custodial staff we're working to hire. We recently lost our ICC daytime custodian to a different department. He's still within the village, he just moved to another department. We internally filled the daytime position with our evening custodian from Iowa. And we're now in the process of filling that evening custodial position. We did interviews, it was posted, we completed interviews. We've offered the position to our candidate, and we're waiting to hear back. So we're hopeful that we can turn that around soon, if not, by the end of the week or so. We're also in the process of hiring full-time custodial staff for our corporate facility cleaning, Village Hall, Police, Public Works, Parks, Metro. The work in that cleaning had previously been done by, I think at one time it might have been a full-time person, and then it transitioned for some amount of reasons to cleaning services. We tried a temp agency. We've been trying to manage it with some part-time staff, but in the end, we're looking to find a full-time person to do it now because that's really what it needs. So, a few upcoming projects. We're looking to get playground mulch installed in our playgrounds here soon. This is something we do each year as a routine maintenance for the playgrounds. The Village Hall rooftop unit. I don't know if you've been in Village Hall, but there's a window unit in there now. Rooftop unit isn't working anymore, so we're working to replace the rooftop unit at Village Hall. The new units that we're looking to install in there, or that we will install in there, will also have the ability to heat the upper level. So we're looking to do that, get rid of the radiant heat that's up there so we can provide more efficient heating up there and cooling. And then I mentioned last week, we hadn't moved forward yet with the seal coating, crack filling, and striping. There were a couple of issues with that, but we're looking to get that scheduled here in the next couple of weeks and move forward on that. That's at Twin Lakes, Village Hall, and Fire Station 82. So that's all I have.
Quick question, cleaning, are you looking for a full-time person, or are you looking for a company to cover that?
Full-time person.
Full-time person.
Any other questions?
No thanks.
All right, moving on. Director of Parks and Recreation and Fleet. Greg, please.
Thank you, Sam. Just a few things since Gina stole my thunder with the August concerts. So Upland Design is moving forward with the grant application to the DNR, the OSLAG grant. It's just to remind everybody, it's a matching grant. The maximum amount is award is $600,000. So we're going for the maximum award of 600. So that means the village would match that for 600,000, and that's for Lions Park, the playground, pickleball courts. We had that community input meeting. So they want to do the application, send in the application by next week. The deadline is August 31st, but they want to get it in a little early. So got a lot of good information from the public, and they took that information and their input and the design. They made a presentation to the board, and they're moving forward with the design. And fingers crossed that we hear in January that we get the award. So the party trailer has been a huge success. It's rented every weekend, so we're going to be budgeting soon. So we've talked about adding another party trailer because it's rented every weekend, just about. Yolanda and Brian kind of take care of that. So it's been very popular and a huge success, and so we're going to put in the budget to get another one. So along the budgeting topic, Sugar Creek Golf Course is also doing their budget. We had a preliminary budget meeting for the golf course. So they'll be working on that as well, their staff. Golf is going crazy since COVID. So I don't know if you've been out there for they did the renovation, $1.2 million renovation of the pond. Plants are starting to come in, and so it'll probably take another year for everything to establish itself as far as plant material, but it's a lot better than the rusted corrugated steel that was falling apart. And, so that was a good project, and we'll be working on that budget. And that's all I have as far as just general items.
Moving on to business.
So on to business, Lovekin Park is the first thing on the agenda. Dan Dalzell from 3D Design has completed the permitting process. He got that back from Community Development Public Works, so we're ready to go. He's currently writing up the specs for bids. We had some delay on getting the specs from RCP company, then that was for the restrooms and the band shelter. So he finally got those specs. So we're going to go out for the bid notice August 10th or somewhere around there, with a pre-bid meeting on August 24th, and then bid opening August 31st. And that's for basically the install of all the items, the spray pad, playground. We bought all that, all those items. So it's basically the labor. And hopefully get started sometime towards the end of September of this year, and work until we can't work anymore, and then restart again in the springtime of next year, and hope to be done June or July, be ready to go. So if you've been out by Lovekin, the earthworks, that was the Public Works and DuPage County stormwater project, that's all completed. So now it's our turn. So for Lions Recreation Center, we had the bid opening last Thursday. There was 24 various areas that vendors could bid on. WB Olson is doing their due diligence right now to make sure all those low bidders are the responsible low bidders and adhere to all the requirements from the DNR, since it's a grant-related project. So the DNR has some stipulations and parameters for vendors. So they're just making sure all these low bidders meet the requirements. And probably the 28th of August, the next, that next board meeting, or the last one in August, they'll make their recommendations, WB Olson, to approve those contracts for those vendors. And then it's breaking ground in September and full speed ahead. So, that's really the only updates I have. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I'd just like to make a comment, and I've told you this at the concerts. For anyone that hasn't been out there, it is absolutely beautiful so far. It's going to be an awesome project when it's done. And the vendor we used was like watching a bunch of busy bees building a hive. That project totally went seamless.
Earthworks.
Yes.
Yeah. They were really good to work with. We didn't necessarily work with them as much as Public Works, but we were out there with a couple items, and very responsive, very, very good company. So we were happy. And
Yeah, because I thought all summer, because I live right there, that, we'd have blowing dust. And it was just an incredible project to watch from start to finish. And I know, people always want to clobber you on the head because, dirt's blowing in their yard, but kudos to the company and everyone else.
yeah, I'll pass it along to Public Works.
Oh,
as well,
I'll stand up and,
DuPage County. It'll help alleviate some of the storm issues, hopefully.
it's beautiful.
I think for me, anyone have questions? All right.
Yeah, thank you.
We've already had the high-level presentation. So public comments from non-agenda items, public here tonight. Commissioner comments. Mike?
Just glad to be back in person. That's about it.
It's good to have you back, Mike.
Thanks.
Christine?
Yes, I just have a couple things. At Coffee with the Board on Saturday, there was a resident there that was interested in seeing a design board up at Lyons. There were several questions about what was happening over there, and I know internally we've had multiple conversations for quite a long time with respect to what's happening, but she was interested in knowing more of the details and had seen the storyboard over at Lufkin. So she was very anxious and hopeful that we would be able to do something similar at Lyons.
We're planning on it, yes.
So they
Same
came
kind
up
of thing,
with the-
thank you. If she wants, she can also go to the website, and there's, some of the renderings of what the community center will look like. But yeah, we'll put one up similar to the one over at Lufkin, for sure.
Perfect. And the only other thing that I have is the senior lunch. We have done a little bit of a transition with the senior lunch this year based on Iowa Community Center and how warm it gets in here, and had been moved temporarily over to the library and had shifted from Thursdays to Fridays. It's my understanding, and I would ask that anyone that's interested call and confirm if you're interested with Parks and Rec on when it's retransitioning back to Iowa, but it's my understanding that this month, the senior lunch is this Friday, the 11th. I believe this is the last one at the Villa Park Library. And then it's my understanding next month, it will be transitioning back to Iowa. And I would confirm or recommend that you confirm with Parks and Rec that I would anticipate it to be moving back to Thursdays. So we're in a little state of flux on that. If you're interested, call and get the specifics, but please come out. We have consistently had, I'm going to say 60 seniors every month at the birthday lunch and bingo. It's been just amazing, and Janet does an awesome job.
Thank you.
We thank her and everyone else that participates in getting the food delivered, and it's been a little bit of a challenge because we're now having it delivered at the library, so there are different amenities there. It's been very well done, but a stretch, and a lot of effort's been put into it. So I just want to thank all of the staff involved in that. Thank
Well,
you.
just in 12 or 13 short months, we'll have a permanent location.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Donna?
I have nothing. I just want to welcome back Mike. We missed you, and we're glad to have you back in person.
Thank you. Yeah, and I will echo those comments. Nice to have you back in person. Glad you're here. Village staff comments. Who would like to start today? Ina?
Great to see you, Mike. I'm glad that you're back. So hopefully we can get back on a schedule where things go back to as normal as they can be.
Brian?
Yeah. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Other than that, I have nothing.
And Craig, Big Finish?
Same. Welcome back, Mike. Good to see you. Glad you're here. And thanks for everybody for attending and all your comments and questions to high-level promotions. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to convene the meeting or close the meeting?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Voice vote. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.